Yeah, give me that volume, Teddy.
How's that?
It's good, buddy. How you
Cool.
doing today? How you feeling?
I'm all right. Uh, you know, day whatever it is.
Yeah.
Day whatever it is.
What happens in your life on Fridays?
We celebrate my team kind of like has a ramp down over the course of every week. Some people
Yep.
only work a few days a week, so Friday is kind of like the calmest day for me in terms of like a directing. So
Okay.
I have the most time to do work. I do therapy on Fridays, which I love.
Ooh, I love that you do therapy. What kind of therapy are you doing? Just the standard kind of therapy?
Just kind of standard talk therapy, yeah.
Yeah.
No particular techniques.
And what did your mother mean by that exactly? That kind of thing?
uh, yeah, my therapist or our process is a little bit more, a little bit less focused on like, yeah, the parent background stuff. Like it helps me. They help me a lot with like, I cycle thoughts really quickly, so they help kind of be like, here's what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
This is what you said last week. How do we construct this down and like focus it down?
How long have you been doing that?
Um, I That's a good question. Well, actually, not that long with this therapist, because I used to have one when I lived in LA previously, and then I moved, and then for a couple of years I was moving too much to have established anything with a therapist. So
Mhm.
this is like month and a half. Like we met like 2 or 3 times before everything closed down, which I'm glad we were able to do.
Okay. Yeah. I think that those early meetings, doing them in person is really important. So I'm glad you got that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
so are you structuring your days in certain ways to make yourself more effective now that everything is kind of chaotic and there's no, like there's no start time or end time to your work days necessarily, are there?
Um, I'm being a little bit more enforcing of that for me.
Okay.
So our team has we're very lucky in the sense that like we were already remote. We already operate as a team.
Hmm.
Everyone has kind of their own stations they like to work at in their homes or wherever co-working spaces. So logistically, that part didn't change too much. I
Hmm.
think it's just been more about like adjusting all of our expectations for ourselves and for each other and like patience. For me personally, like I have a habit of getting like inspired is the wrong word, but like very focused at around 10 or 11. Maybe that's because I'm no longer responsible for the team as much because they've finished their days, or just because I'm a night person. That's
Hmm.
something that I've changed. Like I'm enforcing more of like a once I have dinner, my workday is over,
Right.
as a precautionary uh, attempt to create more structure right now.
I've never understood you night people. Why do you like the night so much?
Uh,
And I'm asking that in a
I
playful way. I'm sorry if that's, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable at all.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have a good answer for that because I think as a night person, I often feel guilty, like I'm doing it wrong, you know? Like
Yeah.
I feel like morning people like they have like nature on their side. They're like, well, the sun rises, so I rise. I'm like, God, that is a good point.
It is a
Um,
good point.
I don't know.
Morning people.
Yeah, I'm like very at home a lot on my devices, but
Yeah.
also very, I don't like to like align in extrovert introvert, but I'm a very social person. So I think
Mhm.
like when things die down, that helps me a lot. I actually found that I was like more, so I try to spend some time in Japan. I have like a community of friends there every year. And I find my days are more productive there because and that was educational for me to be like, oh, it's because all of my North American friends, South American friends
Mhm.
are asleep. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think it's just about like, not forcing me to, but encouraging me to be more like just quiet and with myself and stuff. After midnight passes, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's just me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I really like about the way in which you're describing yourself is the amount of self-awareness that you understand yourself. You know who you are. You know when you work best and when you work strongest. Sounds like you're trying to adapt as well. You're
Mm.
trying to learn the value of earlier parts of the day that you haven't necessarily done your best work in the past, but now you're trying to learn to adapt.
Uh, I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so. Like I have a thing that I stole from a friend who used to say he has he takes luxurious mornings, and
Yeah.
uh, seeing as I have the like ability to be flexible in time, I do that too. I'm very patient in the mornings with myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, don't expect too much.
Are you able to? I know you have, to build a game, to be in game development, you have to connect with people over the course of the day. But when is Teddy time? When does Teddy just kind of, get what Teddy needs from other people that are not necessarily work related?
That's a good question.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not
No.
connecting with people.
I got distracted because I was like, we're talking about me in the third person, and I was like, well, Teddy
Yeah.
likes.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No. I appreciate that. It's kind. Time for me. Yeah, I mean, it's usually nights. Weekend days is sort of like similarly to how I've for me, I've learned to be patient in terms of the course of the day. I'm
Hmm.
also patient with the week. So like, I'll let myself work on a Saturday or Sunday
Hmm.
during the day if it makes me feel good.
Hmm.
Like I go into weekends planning not to do anything, and I don't expect that. So you could call that like muddy for some people. I have enough of like a shield up where I know I'm not going to work an entire weekend day.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, time for me is generally nights and weekends. I used to hate being alone, and I had to like I've done some work to adapt to it. So it's helping it. Years of doing that work has helped me a lot in the current situation because I hope I'm able to like help or at least like support other people better because
Hmm.
I have a lot of that in place in terms of knowing all of my mechanics and knowing like how I can best keep myself afloat and
Are there certain
um,
people that you turn to for connection and comfort right now?
yeah, I have like kind of a handful of very close friends,
Yeah,
like three, some here in Los Angeles, some like elsewhere, who I just do like regular-ish calls with. I'm not. I've also gotten like less chatty as I've aged a
yeah,
little bit, so it's good for me to get off devices and like helps me focus and stuff. So I keep my phone away from me when I'm. Phone's not allowed in the bedroom. Phone's not allowed near the desk most of the
that's
time.
good. Yeah, those are all good
Um,
things. Definitely.
so so yeah, I'm like a periodic friend. I have a couple best friends, and each one of them I talk to like every 2 weeks or something.
And are they like Zoom calls like this, or do you just get on the phone and just hear voices?
Depends on the friend.
Yeah,
Usually it's like some sort of audio call, occasionally video. Depends on what each person prefers and what they're comfortable with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm an introvert. I'm not very
Hmm.
social at all, but I have been craving human connection so much, and I've been like, even now just talking to you feels like a joy to me,
Hmm.
but it's not something I would have done if I wasn't as isolated as I am now. But what else are you learning about yourself? I mean, and I think this is a terrible time, and a very restrictive time in lots of ways, but it's also a time for introspection, and it's time to learn new things about ourselves. What else have you learned about yourself from this isolation, from this social distancing? What are the things that comfort you the most?
Hmm.
And I know I'm blindsiding you with these
No.
questions, so you're doing great so far.
That. Thank you. Um. I. I mean, I think there's kind of two kinds of comfort for me. There's like the creature comforts, I guess, or whatever you would call those. Like, I know that sunlight is really important to me. It's one of the reasons I
Yeah,
live in Los Angeles. It's one of the
yeah,
reasons I managed to find a home with windows. Like, uh, sunlight is like everything. It sets like a
everything.
huge foundational base for me.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Um, so that's been really big for me. And then kind of on a higher level, yeah, I think it's kind of a combination for me of like patience with the current situation and saying like, okay, I know kind of my ecosystem right now, trying to do a little bit of my work, sort of support the team, just stay afloat. Um, Pacing out, how much I expose to the news on a daily or weekly basis,
Yeah.
and trying to do the responsible amount without the damaging amount, or like, knowing my limits, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy
Um,
to get addicted to that news cycle. And I'm glad
mhm.
you're resisting that. Like that's super smart, man.
I there was a period where like there's a couple like accounts on Twitter that are posting those graphs on a daily basis of like, here's the curve in every country, and I'm looking at it like, where is it safe? And I
Yeah.
and stopped looking at those for a while. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have kind of a grasp on it. And, not much to be done there other than be like socially responsible. So
It's so wonderful that you live in Los Angeles, that you can step outside, and for the most part, and I know there's always things like June gloom and all the weird LA things that happen, but you still get a lot more sunlight there than in almost any place else, really.
mhm.
Do you make a point of getting outside and connecting with nature, with the sky, with just as much, if there's any fresh air in Los Angeles, do you try to find it?
I'm not like a hiker, and I'm not
Yeah,
good at being a nature person. It doesn't
yeah,
like I know the sunlight thing, and I know that plants are like good psychologically, but it doesn't draw me out. So for me, like taking a walk or spending some time like staring at plants, that's one of those things that I'll do if I clock that I'm like, if it's a bad day,
yeah.
if I'm like particularly off and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling down, I know this is chemical, like, um, then it's kind of like reparative, I guess, for me, or kind of like a measure. I
Hmm.
don't find like a natural joy in taking walks, but like I know that it helps, so I try to
Hmm.
make it's a tool in the tool
Again,
belt.
your understanding of yourself is so impressive to me. I just think most people walk around and just like, I don't know what's going on. I just feel weird today, and I feel like Teddy's got at least got a bead on some of the stuff, and you understand how it affects you and why it's affecting you, and that gives you a huge advantage, I would guess.
I Thank you. Thanks. Yeah,
Sure.
I feel lucky that I feel like some of my harder work, at least in my current like whatever life cycle is behind me. Like I had a period of like, I'm kind of very social. I grew up with siblings. I had a long-term partner for a very long time, like a live-in partner. So I had this kind of like, uh, uh, the right metaphor escapes me, but this like floor dropping out exercise in how to be alone, how to manage a lot of things, over the past many years. And so like, um, I think that I have lots to like work out in terms of priorities and goals and how I can help people better. But I think, I feel lucky in that capacity that like I'm feel pretty solid during this, which is, yeah, I don't know.
As the lead on your team, and as the
Mm.
lead on your game, do you feel responsible for the well-being of your team members?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Within reason, of course. Like
Yeah.
I think, um, we run the team in a way that is like, try to make it open. Like,
Mhm.
there are channels in the Slack and opportunities for people to use the team as a social outlet, to use the team as an outlet of support. There's like a self-care channel and things like that
Mhm.
um,
Oh, that's so
that was
great.
that wasn't even my idea or our producer's idea. It was one of the team members was like, hey, I want to start a self-care channel. I was like, yes, please. Um, so I think we're very like open to it without trying to be too oppressive, like
Yeah.
not oppressive. I'm not trying to be like, cool, it's calisthenics time because it's good for you,
Right.
you know. But yeah, like I like, as someone who often runs calls, I let calls run a little longer, like trying to respect people's time, but also allow for like, oh, maybe people want like 10 minutes of chat at the end of the constructive part of a discussion. So um, yeah, I think it's just, I mean, it's a lot of, just try to listen to people, you know, and try to create an environment where people can DM me or Michaela or our producer if they need something or are feeling something. And I hope we're doing okay there.
I have no idea how you make games in Los Angeles. I would just want to go outside all the time. I
Where are
would
you
just,
based?
I'm in Toronto now, but I'm from New York originally. And
Mm.
I do understand people who make games in really sort of grimmer climates, like Sony Santa Monica, for example. I'm like, I don't know how they make anything there. Like, I would just go to the beach all the time. Like, is that a challenge for you to sort of keep your focus on the work and not be distracted by? And I know your team's all over the place, probably in lots of different climates, but yeah, is it challenging for you and for any of your other team members who work in Los Angeles to be distracted by the fine weather?
For me, no. I'm like really good at, because I'm not a nature person, but I like warmth and I like comfort and I like sunshine. That's why I like LA. I like perfect temperature and sunshine, but I'm not like a nature person. I mean, it's kind of like, I lived in New York for a long time, and you know, it's the same thing with New York, right? It's not like, wow, you must be at the jazz clubs every night. It's like,
Yeah, totally.
you know,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I get it. Yeah.
But I think we have members of the team who like love to hike, love the national parks, love things like that. So I think, again, I'm like, I have a benefit of being able to be like, oh, I'm just kind of like an indoorsy urban person in general. So like, trying to be aware of team members and like encourage people to, you know, like early on, I think we every once in a while trying to like help team members understand like, hey, cool, masks are great. It is okay to go outside within, you know, whatever the government's telling you or whatever. Outside is healthy for you as long as you're safe, like that sort of thing.
So I know this is Friday. It's the end of the work week. I mean, not necessarily. You know, everybody works a little bit on weekends now. But you know, if I said to you, Teddy deserves something today, what is that something that, again, I'm talking about you in the third person, but what is that Teddy thing that you're going to give yourself today?
So I didn't mean to
something
like make
nice for yourself.
Really big into ice cream right now. Really big into ice cream in general.
That sounds so wonderful, man.
It's a yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Ice cream is good. Like, that's a good answer. I'm fine with that. You want to come up with something more sophisticated?
You know what? Here's the thing. So like, I lived in New York for a long time. I also left Los Angeles for a while and lived in Montreal for a couple of years.
Oh, those are two of my favorite cities. I love both those cities. Yeah.
Love them. I love Montreal, and the community there is great. But Montreal, in terms of creature comforts, is the worst city for me. It's like cold a lot. It's dark. It has, so I had to like get comfortable with like, ice cream, making myself like a single cocktail. Be like, I could drink, like I could have a drink. Like for me, that's okay. And you know, watch a movie. Those sorts of things that like I know. Perhaps it's like typical, like it's like typical self-care sort of things, but I don't know. I think it's also easy to judge ourselves too quickly. So ice cream.
So it's Friday. Are you going to have some ice cream today?
I had my favorite ice cream place does like, oh, if you order 4 pints, delivery is free. And I was like, you got
a deal.
So yeah. Unfortunately, they got too many deals for me too many times. So,
okay.
I'm on like this week hiatus from ice cream. I'm like, what I'm giving myself this weekend is not the gift of not ice cream.
Okay, that's very sweet of you. Not actually sweet, but it is good that you're taking such good care of yourself. Are you happy with the work on the game so far? Are you content with what the team has been able to generate?
Yeah, very much so. Games is like for my part, like high level. I'm as the director. It's like I have to love what we're making, at least in concept, right? Because it was, I'm driving everyone. I invited all these people into it. I'm like, if someone's got to love it, I have to love it. I'm critical of it, but that's part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Games and a lot of art, like I think relatively for any artist, it always takes longer than you want, and
Mm-hmm.
finishing anything is the worst. And so like,
The
uh,
worst.
I, yeah, so I get myself in the situation a lot where I'm like, oh, I've been working on this for 2 years. That's way too long for me. But that's just kind of the nature of it. So yeah, it's just kind of, again, I think for me, it's trying to keep an eye on big picture, small picture. And like, if the small picture is hard, look to the big picture. If the big picture is uncertain, try to enjoy the small picture and like strike a balance wherever I can find it.
Teddy, I really appreciate you taking time to do this. It means a lot to takethis.org and to me. And I make a podcast called Heavily Pixelated, which is about how games help people through challenging times in their lives. And if you give it a listen, it would mean a lot to me.
That's great. That sounds like exactly my thing. I would love to
Oh,
hear that.
really? You don't know about
Yeah,
Heavily Pixelated? Oh, yeah. Well, you can
I'm a
Google it.
podcast delinquent. I will.
Yeah, I love podcasts. And yeah, and like I feel like we have met before somehow. Your name is very familiar to me, but
It's very possible.
maybe like I've been in the business for 20 years, and so um, at some point we must have been at the same conference on the same day. So, but anyway,
Shout out
it's
to
not.
conferences.
Yeah, shout out to conferences. In the old days, we used to have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the best to you and your team. And if you have any questions or need anything, you can reach out to me or Dr. B or Eve, and we'll go
Yeah.
from there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so kind of you to reach out and to talk. It's really a joy talking with you. I feel a little self-conscious, but because I just get to just like, oh, I'm just talking about myself. I don't know how that's helpful, but
No,
I
that's what I'm here for. I
typically,
want to hear about you. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah,
I don't
it's
know how
like,
you're doing the work you're doing. You're scattered all over the place, and like your team is scattered all over the place, and that's to some degree that's a little bit normal. But everybody's also in a different headspace right now, and everybody has to adapt, and everybody has to eat ice cream and do whatever makes them happy, and
we are very lucky to have our producer Michaela Foote, who you spoke to, is like
yeah.
very good and very considerate and very much cares, and like that more than anything is what we're all benefiting from in terms of the guidance of this team. I'm just here to point at art and be like, let's do this.
So the key is having a really strong producer.
Well, it's tough, right? Because small teams, we're still, indie is a weird term, but we're not a AAA studio or a smaller studio, but we are in the realm where we budgeted for a producer, and not everyone can do that.
Right.
And it's very difficult. I've been in the situation of having to self-produce or to have everyone self-produce, and it's hard. And it requires a lot of compartmentalization and like being able to switch modes of thinking between being the scope person and the looking out for everyone person, and also the person who's like, it has to be perfect, it has to be the way I want it. And we are lucky that we get to kind of have a person to play that role and to care for everyone. So
yeah, thank you so much.
thank you. Yeah,
Have a good
talk to you.
weekend and good luck with the game.
Thanks, you too. Have a nice weekend. I hope it's
Okay.
air conditioned.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thanks.